And we're recording. And now I'm going to share my screen. Let's see here. From the beginning. Come on. There we go. Can everybody see it?
Yes.
Yep.
All right. This first one is Jesus washes the disciples' feet. On the evening of the day of the Passover lamb, and the day the Passover lamb had to be sacrificed, Jesus and his disciples made their way to the upper room that had been prepared for them. Jesus knew it was time for him to leave this world and go to his Father in heaven. The meal was in progress, and the devil had already prompted Judas to betray Jesus. Jesus got up, took off his outer garment, and wrapped a towel around his waist. Then he poured water into a basin and began to wash his disciples' feet. He dried them with the towel wrapped around him. When it came to Simon Peter's turn, he asked, "Lord, are you going to wash my feet?" "You don't realize what I am doing," Jesus replied, "but later you will understand." "No," Peter protested, "you will never wash my feet." Jesus replied, "Unless I wash you, you can have no part with me." "Then, Lord," Simon Peter replied, "not just my feet, but my hands and my head also." When Jesus had finished washing their feet, he put on his outer garment and returned to the table. "Do you understand what I have done for you?" Jesus asked. "I have set you an example that you should do the same. No servant is greater than his master, nor is a messenger greater than the one who sent him." Next is the Last Supper. While they were eating, Jesus said, "One of you will betray me." One by one, they said, "Surely you don't mean me." "It is one of the 12, Jesus replied, "one who dips into the bowl with me. It would be better for him that he had not been born." Judas, the one who would betray him, asked, "Surely you don't mean me, Rabbi?" "You have said so," replied Jesus. "What you are about to do, do quickly." Nobody listening understood why Jesus said this to Judas or why he left the room. They thought, as Judas was in charge of the money, Jesus had told him to buy something or give money to the poor. Jesus took the cup and gave thanks. "Take this and divide it among you, for I will not drink wine again until the kingdom of God comes," he told them. He took the bread and gave thanks. Then he broke it, saying, "This is my body given for you. Do this to remember me." The bread was passed around for each to break and eat. Jesus then took the cup, and when he had given thanks, passed it to them. "This is my blood of the covenant, which is poured out for many." They all drank from it. Jesus announced, "A new commandment I give to you, that you love each other as I have loved you. Everyone will know that you are my disciples if you love one another." Jesus warned them they would all disown him. "It is written," he said, "I will strike the shepherd and the sheep will scatter. But after I have risen, I will go ahead of you into Galilee." Peter protested, "Even if the others desert you, I will not." "Truly I tell you," Jesus answered, "today, yes, tonight, before the rooster crows twice, you will deny me 3 times." Peter insisted, "Even if I have to die with you, I will never disown you." The others all said the same. When they had sung a hymn, they went out to the Mount of Olives. By the way, did you all notice that they're kind of like lying on the ground with really short tables?
Mhm.
That's how they ate in those days. They didn't have a table and chairs. They had a low table and they kind of just reclined at the table. Now, Jesus prays in Gethsemane. Jesus and his disciples left the upper room and headed for the Mount of Olives, to a place they regularly went to called the Garden of Gethsemane. "Pray that you will not fall into temptation," Jesus told them. "My soul is overwhelmed to the point of death. Stay here and watch." Then he went a stone's throw away from them to pray. Jesus was deeply distressed and troubled. He knelt down and prayed. "Father, if you are willing, take this cup from me." An angel appeared to strengthen him. In anguish, Jesus prayed more earnestly, and his sweat was like drops of blood falling to the ground. Jesus returned to his disciples and found them sleeping. "Simon Peter, could you not keep watch for 1 hour?" Jesus asked. "Watch and pray so that you will not fall into temptation. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak." Jesus went away again and prayed the same thing. When he returned, the disciples were asleep. They did not know what to say to him. Jesus went and continued praying. When Jesus returned, the disciples were asleep again. "Are you sleeping and resting?" Jesus asked. "Look, the hour has come, and the Son of Man is delivered into the hand of sinners. Rise, let's go. Here comes my betrayer." As Jesus was speaking, Judas arrived with the temple guards, the chief priests, elders, and a crowd armed with clubs and swords. Judas had already told them he would identify Jesus by greeting him with a kiss. Jesus came forward and Judas came forward and kissed Jesus, saying, "Greetings, Rabbi." "Are you betraying the Son of Man with a kiss?" Jesus asked him. As the guards stepped forward to arrest Jesus, Peter drew his sword. Peter struck the servant of the high priest, cutting off his ear. "Put your sword back in its place," Jesus demanded, "for all those who draw a sword will die by the sword. I could call 12 legions of angels to deliver me, but it must happen this way." Jesus then touched the man's ear and healed him. Jesus then addressed the chief priests and elders. "Do you think I am leading a rebellion that you come to me with swords and clubs? You could have arrested me in the temple courts, but you didn't. This is the hour when darkness reigns." They led Jesus off, and the disciples all turned and fled. That means they ran away. Now, Jesus before the Sanhedrin. Does anyone know what the Sanhedrin was?
No.
The Sanhedrin was a group of people that were the religious leaders of the time, and they kind of formed a meeting to decide all the different things that the Jews were to do and not to do, and they were in charge, and so they were the ones that were putting Jesus on trial at first. Okay. After being questioned by Annas, Jesus was taken before Caiaphas, the high priest, and the Jewish leaders, the Sanhedrin, who had been assembled that night. False witnesses were brought to accuse Jesus. This man said he was able to destroy the temple of God and rebuild it in 3 days, said one. Jesus remained silent. Caiaphas, the high priest, intervened. I charge you under oath by the living God. Tell us if you are the Messiah, the Son of God. You have said so, replied Jesus, but I say to you, all of you, from now on you will see the Son of Man sitting at the right hand of God and coming on the clouds of heaven. At this, the high priest tore his clothes. He has spoken blasphemy, he announced. Why do we need any more witnesses? You have heard the blasphemy. What do you think? He is worthy of death, they replied. Then they spat in Jesus' face and struck him with their fists. They blindfolded Jesus, then slapped him, saying, prophesy to us, Messiah. Who hit you? In the early morning, Jesus was then led off to face Pilate, the Roman governor. And that's the end of our lesson. It was good to see all of you. Oh, Retha's here too. Hi, Miss Retha. All right. So anyway, it was good to see you all again. And we do have at 7 o'clock, we're replaying last year's Maundy Thursday service online. So you can check that out. And but remember that when you see all the people in there, and there's nobody at church right now. We're replaying last year. So you'll see last year's vicar, Robert Brown. He'll be preaching, and so you can check that out. Okay. So good to see you all.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Pastor.
Yep. You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.